One of the reasons, causes to where I am today, in terms of my stance to ethically abstaining from procreation, is where, of course, I was initially from, where I came about. I used to be, and I still am, highly involved, centered around studying, learning, staying up to date, being an advocate to a certain limitation with politics, and essentially wanting to do better for myself, aid my existence, and with that, it will mutually benefit others. It's something where it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what side you're on, you should be able to see the wrong that's currently going on in that realm that's being imposed, admitted to communities, to other groups of people on a persistent basis. So it's just looking to see how we could fix that. And the ultimate solution is prevention. That's really what it comes down to. You got to see the cause of something to understand how to eliminate the cause. You can't just look at a symptom of a problem. You have to look at the origin. And that's where antinatalism came in. And once I understood the fundamentals to that philosophy, it really just was an end-all, be-all. Everything else became secondary. I still, again, have a lot of different fondness towards things like politics, but again, it's a limitation with it. And again, you have to ask yourself these questions. Why? Why are we having to deal with any such problems to begin with? Why are these burdens even here to begin with? Why are we imposing people to have to go through any of this to begin with? I mean, it's just simple questions. A lot of times we want to blame others for wrongs that are currently happening in the world, but I mean, we're imposing harm. We're imposing wrong. So it's less than what we think it is. It's not as grandiose as what we think it is. We want to blame others like the powers that be or the globalists, but we have to put the accountability on ourselves. Why are we doing this to our sons and daughters? Why are we having them to have to go through any of this tribulations to begin with? So once you are dealing with the framework of empathy and ethics, if you take that into any consideration for your decision-making process to procreation, then yeah, you shouldn't do it. Then inevitably, if that's the framework you choose to go about, and that should be the framework, if not, again, you're just pinpointing the point to antinatalism, and what we seek to address with it is how nature is unethical and humans essentially go along with nature in that regard, but childbirth. But yeah, with politics, it's just, it is what it is. I have respect with what people do in that realm. But there's a limitation to it. When I see people debate about capitalism, people debate about communism, socialism, all this, that's all fine. That's all good. I feel for why people have, care for whatever side. I don't really necessarily care to the ultimate sense. But again, it's you see the problem. So we initially, before we have any of these debates, we have to talk about why are we continuing having people go through these problems and hurdles and jump through these obstacles in the first place. So it's taking yourself out of that political bubble and asking yourself these ethical questions to the origin of how we even got here in the first place. So again, it just kind of shatters a lot of political advocacy to a heightened extent. I'm not saying that it should be devoided, but again, there's just such a limitation with it. It just doesn't make sense. Again, if you're going to talk about ethics, which you should, it just doesn't make sense to care about politics and then at the same token impose birth and death. Doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. Why? That's just the question. Ethics, why? And It really even doesn't matter if you don't care about politics, and you should. I mean, it's affecting your life. People like to say that, oh, I don't care about politics. I don't like talking about it. I don't read the news. And I understand where they're coming from because, again, there's a certain futility, a high futility when you're working within that avenue. But it's why are you putting somebody to have to go through any of these hurdles to then be in that position where it's like, oh, well, I guess I just should just disregard it since there's nothing I can really ultimately do here. But it's still affecting you. It's not like you're really not revolved around it anymore. You're still revolved around it. You know, everything's political. I mean, you're using money, you're using currency already, political. So to say that, oh, I don't do this when it's still centered around your life doesn't make much sense. And again, it only comes to the fact that for most people, I can't really specifically state this, but this is my implication from when people say that, is that, again, they see the problem. It's not that they don't see the issues, but they ultimately, again, know that they can't really do much about it. But again, I have more respect for people that look to do something about it. It's just like, why are we putting people here to do something about something that's all unnecessary? So again, there's a bottleneck to it. It's like either any person you are in context to that, it's just like, okay, I get it, but like it becomes an issue more so when you impose any such reality, subjectivity to another sentient being. It's just, I mean, it's really bad. It's really bad. It's really bad. I mean, whew. So I'm still in the realms. I hear what people say. I have my own views. But, I mean, it initially starts with antinatalism. I mean, that's more than anything. That really is more than anything. Again, when I see people just, people can really sit down and argue over these things. And it's, banter, but there really isn't much you can argue against antinatalism. If you're working within the framework of antinatalism, if you're trying to uphold the standards of ethics and empathy, then you can't really refute much. You really can't. Any such refutation is really calculated for what you can say, and there's simple rebuttals that any antinatalist can say against it. So that's really what it comes down to, but that's a reality most people don't want to look at. People want to still, be down here and chase butterflies and stuff. I don't know. But it just goes to show the point. Again, people just, they disregard these highly principled traits. And so you see what we're founded upon. We're founded upon, honestly, unfairness, lack of civility. So then we shouldn't be surprised that we're having to deal with these issues when we're dealing with people that, don't care about these fundamental aspects to sentience. So that's why I'm not surprised, because it is the ultimate solution, prevention. So I can't get on board with people that have some type of goal when, again, those goals constitute the propagation of sentience. I can't, any political banter, it's like, it's cool, but like, I'm not going to hop on it. I can't hop on it. And again, it doesn't matter who you are. You see the issues. You're affected by something, let alone all these other things that come with sentience. I'm just talking in this video specifically about the political realm. And that constitutes a lot of it, because there's a lot that kind of get connected with that in life. But again, there's just no way around it. Anywhere you go with this life, whatever person you are, we gotta look at you. We gotta be accountable. Don't look at anyone else. Be like, oh, the world's messed up because of. No, it starts back to you. Why are you continuing this mess in the first place? Let's have that one-on-one talk. Don't put it on somebody else. The powers that be. No, look at yourself and see what you're doing. So that, comes to show that people are really just founded upon the act of evil.